These are the top 10 things you never knew about Worcester. So you think you know Worcester, the second biggest city in New England, the heart of the Commonwealth. We'll start with the thing that everybody from out of state gets wrong. Worcester spells Worcester. Worcester. Okay? And under the seven hills is a city that launched rockets, dressed astronauts, invented happiness, and, depending on who you asked, started the American Revolution. These are 10 things nobody told you. All right, let's go bottoms up and start with number 10, the $45 smile. In 1963, an insurance company on Main Street had a morale problem, so they paid a local ad guy named Harvey Ball to draw something cheerful. 10 minutes, a yellow circle. He added a couple of eyes so nobody could flip it upside down and turn it into a frown. And they paid him $45. He never trademarked it. Every smiley face on earth, every emoji you've ever sent, traces back to a guy in Worcester named Harvey Ball who made $45 and he called it even. Number 9, the spacesuit factory. There's a brick building on Franklin Street that most people drive past without a second look. Now, I get it. We're not exactly a global fashion hub here in Worcester. We're no LA, we're no New York, we're no Milan. But we have made some significant textile history, including in that building. Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier in a suit that was made in that building. Gemini astronauts have spacewalked dressed in Worcester. Space shuttle crews have launched decked out in Worcester duds. And when Felix Baumgartner jumped from the edge of space in 2012, he was wearing Worcester. The David Clark Company. And it's still there. They're still building suits for astronauts. And they're ready to go back to space and to the moon whenever. Speaking of space, at number 8 is the Rocket Man. On March 16th, 1926, on a cabbage farm in Auburn, Massachusetts. Auburn, Massachusetts is just outside the limits of the city proper. It's still well inside of Worcester County, so don't get smart. Robert Goddard. Robert Goddard lights the world's first liquid-fueled rocket. It flies 41 feet for 2.5 seconds. And every rocket that's ever left this planet started right there. Now, 3 years later, he tried it again. It was louder. The neighbors thought a plane went down. They sent police, ambulances, and reporters. One of the papers ran a headline, "Moon rocket misses target by 238,799.5 miles." And the state fire marshal banned him from launching rockets in Massachusetts. The father of spaceflight got evicted from Worcester County. Today, the launch site is the 9th fairway in a golf course, and almost everything's named after Robert Goddard. Oh, no. Okay, number 7, changed the world in like a much more basic and ground level way. Like it really kind of changed society as we know it. Number 7's called the pill. In about 1947, there was a place called the Worcester Foundation. It was a lab that was located in Worcester. About 1950, it relocated out to Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury, I know, doesn't sound like Worcester. Yeah, it's also just outside the city limits, and it's well inside of Worcester County. So don't get smart. So a quiet lab in Shrewsbury in the 1950s is a guy named Gregory Pincus. He was a scientist that Harvard already had shown the door, and he's working on hormones. About 1954, his team's running the first human trials of the birth control pill. It was funded by Margaret Sanger and a 78-year-old heiress named Catherine McCormick. And this was one of the single biggest social changes of the 20th century. And it happened 15 minutes up Route 9, right here in Worcester County. How about that? Number 6, Sigmund Freud hated it here. All right, in 1909, Sigmund Freud crossed the Atlantic, the only time he ever would in his whole life, and guess where he was headed? Worcester, Massachusetts. He was coming to get the only honorary degree he would ever be honored with from Clark University, Maine South, Worcester, Mass. Still active right now. Beautiful campus. Come on down and check it out. You won't be disappointed. Anyway, Sigmund Freud, he was. He was miserable by everybody's account. His stomach was messed up. He didn't like the food. There's even been a line that's long been attributed to him where he said that America was a gigantic mistake. Based on your experience in Worcester, dude? Anyway, good seeing you, Ziggy. Number 5, the Turtle Boy. In the southeast corner of the Worcester City Common, there's a bronze boy, and he's riding a sea turtle. Officially, it's the Burnside Fountain. Officially, it's a horse trough. And officially, the boy's riding the turtle. Now, if you grew up here, you know that's exactly what's happening. That's what we all say about the turtle boy. That boy is riding that turtle. I mean, go look at it. Come back and tell me what's happening there. Now, here's the part that people don't know. Trigger warning. The sculptor, Charles Harvey, he finished himself before he finished the turtle boy. Another artist completed the work. The city installed it in 1912. There was no ceremony, no dedication, no speeches. They just put it out there and walked away. And that's the turtle boy. We're going to take a turn toward the spooky with number 4, the eighth gate, aka Spider Gates. So just 10 minutes outside of the city in Leicester, I know I just heard you say it, Leicester's not Worcester. Yes, it is. Don't get smart. Leicester borders directly on the city. It's well inside of Worcester County. Leicester is Worcester. Move on. So there's a small Quaker burial ground from the 1740s, and the real name of it is Friends Cemetery. The locals call it Spider Gates. Why did we call it Spider Gates? So it used to have these big, beautiful gates on it, and it had a sunshine motif. But we all thought it looked like a spider because we're all spooky and we're assholes. But it was really just like a Quaker symbol of friendship or something, the sunshine. Now, everything I'm about to say is legend. It's just local lore. There's no historical record that backs any of it. These are the stories that I heard, and I'm telling them back to you. They say it's the eighth gate to hell. They say there's 7 more hidden in the woods, and if you pass through all 8 in the right order, you don't come back. There's talk about a hanging tree. There's supposed to be graves that answer you. White ooze is supposed to come out from the ground. And if you try to look for it a second time, you're not supposed to be able to find the cemetery a second time. I never found it the first time. I was just a dumb kid, though. I didn't even know what I was looking for. I just figured I'd walk out in the woods in Leicester and a freaking cemetery would pop up, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, you're not supposed to be able to find it twice. Now, what's actually true? It's just a peaceful little graveyard. The Quakers still take care of it. And the famous iron gates were taken down because too many assholes came out looking for hell. And that's the story of Spider Gates. Number 3, we're going to take a turn for the tragic. I'm going to call this 84 minutes. It's June 9th, 1953. A tornado drops near Petersham and grinds east for 84 minutes. Petersham's in Worcester County, don't get smart. And yes, the tornado passed right through Worcester. At its worst, this tornado was a mile wide. 4,000 buildings, gone. Over 10,000 people, homeless. 94 people, dead. And it's still the deadliest tornado in New England's history. Debris came down on Cape Cod, 100 miles away. There was a wedding dress that ended up in a phone line in Natick, for crying out loud. And you don't know where Natick is. It's like 45 minutes from here. Now, because it was 1953, at the height of the Cold War, some survivors climbed out of the wreckage genuinely believing that the Soviets had bombed Worcester. I want to lighten it back up with number 2. Worcester was named as an insult. Now, before Worcester was Worcester, Worcester was Quinsigamond. This was Nipmuc land. The settlement got wiped out a couple of times before anyone made it stick. And then when they finally renamed it in 1684, the leading theory is that they named it after Worcester, England, the city where King Charles II got his teeth kicked in at the Battle of Worcester. Meaning, the name of the city may have been from day one a middle finger to the king. We're going to finish off on a high note with number 1, a little bit of a hero story, the revolution nobody told you about. September 6, 1774. 7 months before Lexington and Concord. You know, the shot heard around the world. 4,622 militiamen from 37 towns march into Worcester. And that's about half the adult men in the entire country at that time. They left their guns behind, on purpose, so nobody could call them a mob. They surrounded the courthouse, and they shut down the king's courts. Then they take the 25 royal officials and walk them down Main Street with their hats in hand and make them recite out loud, over and over, that they renounce the crown. There's not one shot fired, not one person killed, and British authority in central Massachusetts was finished, forever. The following spring, when General Gage went looking for a fight, his own spies told him, "Don't go to Worcester, they're too strong." So they went to Concord instead. The war started in Lexington, but the revolution started right here. That's 10 things you might not have known about Worcester, but it's not even the whole list. The Monkey Wrench, Worcester. Candlepin Bowling, Worcester. Mass produced Valentines, a woman named Esther Howland right here running an assembly line out of her parlor in beautiful Worcester. The first perfect game in the history of Major League Baseball, Worcester, Massachusetts, 1880. Somebody else might not tell you this, so I'm gonna. So follow along and find out more about what's buried under this city.